Hello, my name's Cole Newton. I'm here with the Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park at the entrance of our historic fairy cave. This area was discovered in 1895 by a gentleman named Charles Darrow. The natural entrance, or the opening hole to the outside, was this size when Charles Darrow found it, whistling with air. That shows you that there could be more passage beyond, so he hired a contracting crew from the area to expand that hole so they could crawl in. Definitely found some pretty good cave. Inside here we do have walking passage. On the other side of the door, however, there's some iron bars and rocks now blocking that natural entrance. The idea was to stop people from coming in and maybe damaging the cave. Darrow expanded this hole in front of me here to allow us access without crawling into this section. So the name of the fairy cave came from Charles Darrow and his daughter. When he brought her in here, the theory was she said it looked like fairies were dancing along the walls, hence the name Fairy Cave. So here we are entering an area of the cave. It has a white powdery substance along the walls and ceiling. You can see this white powdery just above me here. This is called moon milk. It's a combination of calcite and gypsum, and it has to do with the hot springs or sulfur influence in our cave system. Definitely adds some interesting color schemes. So in this portion of the cave, you can really understand why this tour is so special. Historic Fairy Cave Tour has hallway-like passages. As you can see, my arms are very near to the wall. It creates a very intimate feel. Definitely makes the cave feel somewhat smaller, but also makes it exciting. We have now entered an area of the cave where we can see a beautiful formation here known as flowstone. As you can see, it is quite shiny. That is due to water going over the formation. It is what makes it grow. Flowstone is definitely one of my favorite formations to see in a cave. It looks like ice cream, and I'm an ice cream fan. But here, we're in the room called the Eternal Towers. And looking up above me, we have these two holes that seem to go on forever. When Charles Darrow was here in 1895, he was exploring the cave with a tin can and candlelight. Not very bright, so when he looked up, the two holes looked like they went on forever, hence the name Eternal. Now we know with modern technology that this one goes up 55 feet and this one about 40 feet tall. We're now 70 feet underneath the ground though, so these do not breach surface. Continuing on from the Eternal Towers, we enter what we call Lover's Lane. You can tell it's Lover's Lane because of this beautiful heart just above me here. Definitely shows you that this cave has a lot of love to receive and plenty of love to give. We have now entered the oldest man-made tunnel found at the Glenwood Caverns. This was done by Charles Darrow from 1897 to 1899 with hand tools, so it took him 2 years to complete. But the thought process was to access a cliffside view called Exclamation Point, and it is definitely a sight you will not believe. Welcome to Exclamation Point. Here we have an incredible view of the Glenwood Canyon. Down below, we can see the Colorado River and the I-70 corridor. We're about 1,300 feet above the river right now. Directly in front of us, we have the beautiful Mount Sopris Peak, definitely one of the more prominent peaks in the area. And the reason Charles Darrow would have made that tunnel was to access this area. This would have been essentially the grand finale of his tour. He would have turned the tour around from here and gone back through the cave the same way that we came in. What's cool about the Glenwood Caverns is we like to show off our cave. So 7 years ago, we doubled the size of this tour, allowed us access to areas that Darrow never went to. This means we can see formations that are still intact and that have not been broken throughout the time. And also, very wet cave today due to the snow melting. Everything's dripping, so we might even get a couple of cave kisses in front of us here soon. We have now entered the appended room. Due to a formation known as appended, which you can see right here, it's formed by sulfuric gas coming from the back and carving off the softer portions of rock, leaving behind these knobby looking subjects. I really do like this one. It's got to be one of my favorites. Reminds me of a rhino. This room was inaccessible via walking. You would have to crawl here until 2013, when we did an expansion and allowed us access to areas of the cave that Charles Darrow never reached. See, Darrow's tour would have turned around at Exclamation Point. Here we're an area that's further into the cave, but there is only a few formations in this room, and in the next section, there's just a hallway. So we decided to do a replica of the lighting that Charles Darrow would have used for his tours from 1900 to 1915. He was using wooden peg and bare copper wire, which is not safe. So here we have recreated the knob and tube look from early photos of the cave. Here we have a beautiful dictation of cave popcorn. It's that bubbly stuff you can see on the hill here. It's formed by heat and pressure. Think of the rock sweating and then the minerals solidify in these smaller beads. Just around the corner here in front of me, we have some beautiful what we call caramel popcorn. Has an orangish coloring to it. Definitely a sight to look at here. Here I get to be up close and personal to some speleothems or cave formations. This room is called the Reflection Pool Room and is a part of our historic fairy cave tour here at the Glenwood Caverns. Guys coming from the ceiling look like rock icicles are called stalactites. Coming from the ground, we can see a stalagmite here, and a column is when they fuse together or connect. And we call this room the Reflection Pool Room because of the water. Looking in the water, you can see the formations on the ceiling. Really is pretty amazing, especially when I put a laser on it. The laser is in 2 spots at once, and that's not something you see very often in a cave. Here is one of the last rooms on the historic fairy cave tour. Just behind me is a few miles of passage, as well as some beautiful cave formations. I do invite you to come and join us at the Glenwood Caverns Adventure Park. We have roller coaster rides, 2 cave tours, and maybe I'll even be your tour guide.